So back to the defensive backfield, Jordan Hancock
Yeah.
made some nice plays.
Yeah, the guy that they're really excited about. Obviously, with Denzel Burke and Cameron Brown both back as starters, you are looking for rotational guys or guys to push either of those two, Jordan Hancock, and I'll throw Ja'Kalen Johnson, J.K. Johnson, depending on who you're talking to, what nickname he's going by. Both in there. I think both are guys that we've heard a lot about this spring that have made plays, and you saw it from Jordan Hancock quite a bit on Saturday. And that's one of the positions that I think you can learn a good amount from the spring, especially since they did tackle later in the game. Cornerbacks covering receivers is something that happens in 7-on-7. You still can learn from that, and I thought he held his own against some good receivers, obviously, playing against what Ohio State's got on the other side of the ball. Even Ohio State's second group of receivers is about as good as you're going to face as the second group in the country. So he had a nice pass breakup in the end zone, looked good in coverage. They're going to play a lot of press man, but we saw at times they'll drop the cornerbacks off, things like that, and he looked real comfortable, I thought. And that's what we've heard, even going back to last year before the Rose Bowl. That was a name that was being brought up as a guy who's really coming along.
It has just appeared in the last couple of years that these Ohio State, and I'll pick on the linebackers as well as the secondary, but more so the secondary, have been in this mode of it's just pitch and catch on the offense, and let's tackle as soon as we can, and hopefully we make the tackle and limit the catch. And it's not been an aggressive style of play in the secondary versus what we saw on Saturday. And it started to come this way a little bit more during the second half of last season to an extent, depending on the player. Denzel Burke, you mentioned, of course, played a nice season in 21 down the stretch. But maybe it's Jim Knowles. Maybe it's just better ball awareness that he's teaching. Or it just appeared as though the defensive backs are more confident, aggressive, breaking on the ball, aware of the ball, better ball skills, and not just this, okay, we're going to let them pitch and catch and try to tackle.
I don't want to take a slight at the defensive coaching staff that was here before, but I think all three of the guys that Ryan Day brought in on the defensive side of the ball, you mentioned Jim Knowles, but also Tim Walton, who's the secondary coach and cornerbacks coach, and Perry Eliano, who's the safeties coach, have made quite an impact on the secondary and the way that they want to play, the way they're going to attack. We were at the Ohio State Coaches Clinic last week, and Tim Walton spoke about having a hand on your receiver off the line and the press man techniques that they're going to use, and just kind of went through a lot of, kind of technical. He's talking to high school coaches, right? So using a lot of technical terms, but it was very obvious. They want these cornerbacks to be physical, and they want them to make their presence felt in that first 5 yards where you can make contact and you can kind of divert a receiver and whatnot. And this kind of goes back to what Ohio State did when the cornerbacks were just coming through the program with Denzel Ward, Marshawn Lattimore, Jeff Okudah. There's a few other guys in there as well, obviously. But you want an aggressive group that can do some different things. It doesn't have to be every time you're press man. There's obviously certain situations where you're going to back off and things like that, and the Buckeyes will do that. But I really like that they are taking this aggressive approach all over the field, but you see it specifically with the way they start their setup on defense with the cornerbacks on the outside.